friend of mine gave up on men in her early 40s. She just threw in the towel. I remember she said, clearly I suck at this, John. She had been in pretty much back-to-back relationships for 30 years. She had her first boyfriend when she was 12 years old, and she was pretty much in a relationship, one back-to-back from 12 until 42, brief breaks between relationships, but not much. And she just decided after yet another unsuccessful relationship, she thought, this is, I'm good at, I'm very good at being a parent, I'm good at being a friend, I'm good at family, I'm good at community stuff. There's all these other parts of life that I'm crushing at, and I do really well, and it brings me a lot of joy. But when it comes to men, I just I don't know. I suck at this. I have terrible taste in men, and these relationships just bring me misery, and so I give up. And she was single for, I think it was about 8 years, I think. And then of course she met the love of her life, and they got married, and they've been very happy for a long time since then. They're fantastic. But I remember it made a very big impression on me because she said to me, being single in her early 40s for the first time in her life, it was very revealing. It was a very enlightening experience. And she said she realized things about herself that were not terribly flattering, and was not the kind of self-knowledge that people like to get. She said, I realized that when I was in a relationship, which was all the time up until then, if I woke up in a bad mood one day, or if I was just feeling, shitty one day, I would immediately turn to the guy that I was in a relationship with, and I would blame it on him. I'd be like, I feel bad because you did X, or because you're not doing Y, right? I would come up with a narrative immediately that explained my sadness with reference to the guy that I was in a relationship with. And by the same token, if I was in a really good place and I was very happy, I would automatically say, well, I'm happy because he does X and he doesn't do Y. So I was always making the guy that I was with responsible for my happiness and my sadness, right? And being single for the first time in my life, in my early 40s, forced me to realize that sometimes I would wake up and I would be in a bad mood, and there's no guy there, right? So I can't blame. So I had to sort of take responsibility for my own emotions. I had to take responsibility for my own happiness and sadness, and I had to realize that sometimes emotions are like weather. You just wake up in a bad mood, and it's not necessarily somebody's fault, right? So I had to. Basically, she said I had to take responsibility for my own emotions, right? Now, if learning how to take responsibility for your own emotions is like, let's say, graduating spiritual high school, right? What might spiritual college look like? Well, I think it might look something like what the Roman Stoic Epictetus talks about in The Art of Living. Right, so Epictetus says that simple people, simple minds, blame everybody else for their emotions. Right? They blame everybody else for how they feel all the time. Right? I feel this way because of you. Right? I feel like so he says that's kind of like the most simple-minded people are in that category. And then he said, definitely you can tell you're dealing with a more spiritually advanced person when they take responsibility for their own emotions, right? And that's that's definitely like a big advance, right? But he says you're really showing that wisdom is dawning in you when you don't blame yourself or other people, when you start to see emotions as like weather, right? The things that just happen, often for reasons you are not aware of, right? And you just decide to kind of distance yourself from them rather than blaming yourself for those things or somebody else. But I'll talk about this more in the next video. All right, bye for now.